The real party's happening at the bottom of the bowl. I feel like we're just busting like an underground rave. Peace. Don Don Noodles was one of the first dishes I ever made on this channel. Come back to 2018 with me. I was living at home with my dad and stepmom, shooting off my dinky little Canon DSLR. T6i, you guys remember that thing? I had just stopped a handful of odd jobs in order to pursue my career as a private chef full time. The future was bright. I had very little experience shooting video, I was not an experienced cook, and my Don Don noodle skills were green. I don't use the word cringe very often, but this video was, well, it was just that. It was pretty bad. It was bad. It was a bad video. And if you don't believe me, let me show you. Cool. All right. I'm not sure that's so necessary. Jesus, who minced that? Dark soy. Maybe add a little bit more dark soy. I don't like the noodle cooking water thing. Jesus. Come on, guy. All right, dude, chill with the chili crisp. We got it. Man, those noodles look like they've been sitting a little too long. Brown your pork a little more. This is looking a little too blonde, a little too pale. And take it from me, being too pale isn't a good thing. That sucked. I promise I can make it a lot better. Let me show you. Let's start with the ground pork. To it, add Shaoxing wine, soy sauce, toasted sesame oil, ginger, garlic, shugs, and a pinch of salt. All right, so we used ground pork, but remember, this is a ground meat topping. It can be any meat. Think chicken, think beef, you can even do lamb, and if you're not into meats, you could, yes, even do tofu or any other soy-based product. Look at that, it's about to get mashed. Give that all a schmixy, then cover it up and pop it in the fridge while we work on the other stuff. You can let this marinate anywhere between 10 minutes to overnight. We talked about the meat, that can vary. We're gonna talk about the noodles next, that can also vary. But the one constant, the one thing that every bowl of Don Don noodles needs to have is really, really good, red, spicy, vibrant chili oil. And how do you get that? Well, you make it from scratch. Don't worry, it's not that tough. Time to chop. Chop up some garlic into slices like so. This just allows for more surface area to rub up on the oil, giving us a better infusion. And as a bonus, these garlic chips are a great little topping for the noodles later on. Try to make sure they're all roughly the same size. It'll affect how fast they cook. Add neutral oil to a medium pan and bring it up to 250 degrees Fahrenheit, then add your garlic. We're toasting these at a super low temperature to extract as much flavor out of the garlic as possible, so be patient with this. It'll take, I don't know, 10, 12 minutes. They're taking on color. Once the garlic is lightly golden brown, remove it from the oil and set them on paper towels to drain. Now we can add in the other aromatics, which consist of a load of spices and some fresh ginger just sliced in half. Allow these spices and ginger to steep in the 250 degree oil for about 5 minutes, then remove them from the oil using a slotted spoon or a skimmer like I'm doing. Don't worry if you don't get all of it, because you will fish it out later. Let's get most of it. Of course, you need chilies for chili oil. A lot of chili oils will call for whole chilies that you toast and you de-seed, but I've found that Korean chili flake, gochugaru, actually makes for a really tasty and very simplified version of chili oil, meaning that you don't have to do all that prep work. This is bright, it's spicy, it's fruity, it makes for a really interesting chili oil. We're also going to add a little bit of paprika in. This is not smoked paprika, but that would certainly be tasty too. This is just regular old sweet paprika, and that just adds a little bit of sweetness and again, color. And then of course, lastly, the God particle. If you're wondering why chili oil is so delicious and addicting, you have this to thank. Make sure your bowl is heat proof. Use a metal bowl or a Pyrex or any glass that's been tempered, because tempered glass will not shatter. Don't try to do this in a regular glass or you could end up with a horrible mess of hot oil and glass. Nobody likes that. That sounds like some sort of weird layer of hell. We got our paprika and our chilies. What is that? Huh? What do we have here? Real quick, I want to interrupt the oil madness to talk about the Omnivorous Adam Patreon. We're doing monthly giveaways, we got exclusive merchandise for you guys on the website, we're doing live cooking demos, a whole lot of fun stuff over there. For less than the price of a Big Mac, you can support the channel on Patreon. We're a small team, so if you enjoy what we're doing here, that's definitely the easiest way to support. And even if you can't support financially, come say what's up in Discord. It's a completely free and open channel. Got a thriving community over there. We're posting pictures. We're talking about food. We're talking about life. So come on in, come say hi. We're having a good time. That's enough of that, let's get back to the vid. Carefully pour half of the hot oil into the bowl with the chilies, then mix it around a bit. Pour the remaining oil in, mix, and set aside to cool at room temperature. And while that's cooling down, let's work on the pork. Set a wok over high heat, then wipe in a thin layer of neutral oil with a paper towel. If you don't have a wok, a cast iron will do just fine. These are pickled mustard greens. Specialty ingredient, not available at most American grocery stores. If you live near a Chinese market, you'll be able to find it. I'll leave a link for you in the description if you want to order some yourself on Amazon. Plop the mustard greens into the hot wok and stir fry for about 30 seconds, then add the rest of the oil. Add the marinated pork and cook on high until the pork is cooked through. Then once it starts taking on a little bit of color, gets a little brown, add in a splash of Shaoxing cooking wine. Give that all a little tossy, then remove it from the heat and set it aside for the time being. By now the chili oil has cooled down, so it's time to strain out the coarse chili chunks. Line a mesh strainer with a cheesecloth and pour in the oil. Chili sludge. Be sure to use a cheesecloth that you don't care about, or designate one specifically for chili oil because you're not going to wash that stain out. Do not touch anything. I should have wore gloves, but I forgot. We talked chili oil, we talked ground beef. Last thing to talk about are noodles. These are my store-bought noodles of choice. They're thick, they're chewy, they have a nice color. They're exactly what I want to eat when I'm making a bowl of Dan Dan noodles. You can really use any noodles you want, right? So go to your Asian market, anything local, pick out a nice pack of fresh noodles that looks good to you and experiment and find which ones you like more. I'll leave a link to where you can buy these in the description. If you don't live near an Asian market and you can't find fresh noodles anywhere, that's totally fine too. Just open a pack of ramen noodles and use those. You know, use what you have. Pretty straightforward. Cook the noodles according to the instructions on the back of the package. My noodles specifically take about 3 minutes to cook. Unlike most Western noodle dishes, the sauce for this sits on the bottom. I'm basically making a sauce in this bowl.
You're basically making a sauce.
Yeah. I'm basically making a sauce in that bowl. Add in the sugar, Sichuan peppercorns, soy sauce, black vinegar, tahini, aka sesame paste. Safety. I got nervous. I mean, dude, look at this. And our glorious fiery red chili Earl. Nice rust color. Now, I'm gonna put the noodles on top. Sauce on the bottom, noodles in the middle, and for the toppings, I'm reaching for some thinly sliced scallywags, baby bok choy, just quickly blanched in some hot water, then shocked in an ice bath. Lay these on. Right on top. Some of those garlic chips from earlier, and just for good measure, tiny bit of chili oil right on the side. Eating this thing could not be more simple. All we're gonna do is basically mix everything together, sort of the noodles into the sauce, the meat into the noodles. You want the sauce and the meat clinging to those thick, chewy noodles. See, all the magic's on the bottom. You wanna unearth that magic. Hell yeah. Now that's a massive bite, but I'm not one to turn down a challenge. Ooh. No noodles left behind. Wow. Okay, one more. Dang. Dude, the tahini is such an interesting addition to a noodle dish because it's like creamy and it's, even though for me personally, I think of the Middle East when I think of tahini because it's so prevalent in that cuisine, but it's often used in Chinese cooking too, and this is a perfect example of how dang tasty it can be. And then of course you got that pork that kind of sticks to the noodles almost like a ragu. It's kind of like a Chinese ragu. But of course really, the real party's happening at the bottom of the bowl. I feel like we're just busting like an underground rave. Peace. Money. I definitely didn't hate the first edition of this dish, but I think this one's a little better, a little more streamlined. And of course that homemade chili oil really does make the difference. If there's no other takeaways from this video, it's to make that chili oil. That stuff is addicting. All right, y'all know the drill. YouTube guys stuff. Like the video if you did enjoy the video, got any value out of it, or are thinking about making Don Don noodles. Sub to the channel if you're new here. Almost lost that there. And yeah, that's all I got for you. So until next time, ciao.